Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Barrel Vision Podcast with your host,
Barrel Vision.
Barrel Vision. No more needs to be said. We are going to be going into more detail on the guns that was mentioned in the Season 2 trailer. We kind of know stuff about it and we talked a little bit about them. But this is going to go into as much detail as we currently can, giving our
We might
thoughts.
also talk a little bit about our PPs.
We probably won't, but we might. That is not
By
off the
PPA,
table.
I mean performance pass. If we need to fill time.
Yeah.
I also apologise deeply for our hiatus.
Yeah, Harry was on holiday in Hawaii.
Yeah, I went to Hawaii. I was sipping mojitos on the beach.
Yeah.
Getting fed coconuts by little boys.
I don't know why you added that. Right. So, the crossbow.
Oh my god, we're starting. We're going for it.
Yeah.
The Nishanka Bolt Shock X80. Possibly a Skyrim reference, too.
Maybe.
You said.
Knee
the
shanker.
name, Nishanka.
It's a
Arrow in the
theory.
knee.
Best we got so far. Yeah. So obviously we're going from like most seen and known to like the least really. And the crossbow, the dev used it the most in their stream, and you know it's just the one we know most about. Harry, isn't there a dev stream like nowish?
No. No. They're not on at the moment. In the last few weeks leading up to an update, they don't do that. They can't. They're working.
Fair enough.
They don't have the time to dev stream. So we're in the dark. We're on the front lines. What are you doing?
Nothing.
This is very unprofessional.
Yeah. Maybe. This is the second podcast. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's definitely not technically our third, and we may have already done this once, and it messed up. But none of those things are true. They're just hearsay. The Shanker does 105 damage, was it?
Yeah, we're done with the base stats,
Yeah.
as the gun is completely unupgraded. 105 direct damage and 60 area damage. But the area damage is slightly confusing. It doesn't mention a radius. Well, that's what makes it confusing.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
We don't know what it means by area. Yeah.
I think it does mean it just deals area damage, but it doesn't actually have to do it in an area. It just deals indirect damage. That's damage that won't benefit from certain things. I don't know what it's doing there. All I know is that I think what this means is that it can one-shot a grunt with a body shot on Hazard 5. Obviously it can one-shot a grunt to the face, probably one-shot a guard to the face. But if this couldn't one-shot a grunt on the body,
Yeah.
it would be pretty unacceptable considering its ammo pool.
Being abysmal.
Well, 20 standard bolts, and it's like 15 special bolts, but obviously you don't start special bolts, but I think the point is that you do, and that's why they put a selection of special bolts in the first
Yeah.
tier of mods. Now, do you just switch to them by pressing reload or something?
I
assume
think so. Or holding it, maybe. Because usually pressing the reload button just does the animation.
Right, that's a good point. It might be holding it, yeah.
Yeah, or it might be like where you would equip, the gun, or like you have to press like down on the D-pad twice to get like the supply drop.
Yeah.
It might be pressed that way again.
You press that direction twice.
At least it will be
to the
for
special
control.
bolts,
There's
yeah.
probably just an individual button for it on PC, right? So they probably don't have to worry about it. Got plenty of buttons to press. But yeah, for I assume console, we'll have to do something like that, which is not that bad.
105 base damage, 60 area damage, 20 standard bolts starting off with a reload time of 1.8 seconds. So that's 1.8 seconds between every shot.
Yeah.
It's not a long reload.
It's probably... Isn't that almost the slowest firing gun? Like, can't you shoot even the plasma cutter quicker than that?
The breach cutter?
That's one.
Well, the breach cutter has a rate of fire.
Right.
And it is quite fast, but it has a much slower reload than this.
I suppose.
And not very much magazine capacity. It's a decent reload. It's not slow. It's not fast.
But it's also 1 bullet per reload, so you're going to be doing that reload a lot more often than if it was like had a mag, basically.
Oh yeah. Have a magazine.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move straight on to the first tier of mods, which are all special bolts to choose from. Which makes me question where the other special bolts are, because we know there are others.
Yeah.
Like a freeze bolt and a fire bolt, which we can only assume are they within the overclocks.
Kind of, I don't know. They would have to be quite good to be in an overclock. You know what I mean? Because the one overclock we did see used in the dev stream was like more special ammo, and the special ammo does like more. So for these special arrows to take precedent over that would be pretty impressive. Like, they'd have to be strong as hell. But yeah, tier 1.
Well, no, because I don't think that's. I'm not sure if that is an overclock, because in tier 2 you get more special ammo.
It is an overclock. That is the one that we saw used in the stream.
Okay. Fine.
The one overclock we know, right. Among the other ones that we saw glimpses of in the thing. But yeah.
Tier 1, slot 1, or tier 1A, if you want. Pheromone Dart.
It's pheromones. You shoot it, and that man is stanky. He is.
What?
He is a smelly little boy, and all the other Glyphids hate his ass. They're like, get rid of him. He smells. The smelly boy in his smelly little house. They're definitely.
Yeah, I get the impression this is something you're going to want to use against a grunt.
You might.
Because as far as we know, it only affects one enemy per bolt. So you're going to want to hit something big.
Yeah, or like a grunt guard, I guess. Yeah. And plus, I mean, pheromones is like a bit iffy, isn't it, though? Like, sometimes they just won't go to, like, attack each other.
Well, I think there's a limit on how many enemies can attack one pheromone enemy. I don't really know how pheromones works, but we have to assume that this is potent enough. It's not going to be as much as one of the grenades, because you have 15 of these bolts and 4 grenades.
Yeah, but the grenades
But I
splash.
think the effect itself will be stronger in some way.
The grenades can encase an entire horde in pheromones. This can do one.
Is there much point of that? I think
Sure.
one will do the trick. I think that's kind of what they're going
Not
for here.
Really. Like, sometimes, because I'm incompetent, my pheromone only really splashes one thing, and that doesn't do much. Not much happens.
No.
So with the crossbow bolt doing that, I don't know. It's definitely the one that I'd have to see be used well before I believe it.
Yeah. I know, I definitely agree. I think I like the fact that a weapon can apply pheromones, but its effectiveness is somewhat uncertain.
Yeah.
Although I'd say the same about the next one. Chemical explosion.
I think
Special
it's
bolt.
just good old-fashioned torque gun. Just explodes the enemies. Job done. No pussyfooting around. No pheromones.
Well, the dart itself doesn't create explosion. You have to kill an enemy that has the dart bolt in it.
It might not even do that much damage then. Chances are.
Oh, so you're saying that the bolt itself might not do any direct damage?
Well, no, I think it will, but it probably won't be much. Like, it might be
which is
a
why I
finisher
wonder if this is
offer,
worth using against a grunt.
or you put it in like a big guy at the very beginning of a fight and then forget about it until after you've killed the dreadnought, he detonates and you're like, ah!
I like that idea. Well, I thought about the idea it might be similar to Volatile Guts. Because in Volatile Guts, the explosion...
That is probably very much
damage.
like it's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, the explosion damage scales with how big the enemy is. Like a Praetorian death explosion is much more powerful than a grunt. And I assume it's going to be like that. There's an element of choice there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Volatile Guts is probably going to be identical to Volatile Guts.
The point of this was to go into detail, but we don't actually have the details.
Well, it's more the details of the upgrades themselves. Like, how
We don't
could
have
you
the numbers.
How could you build these weapons that they've added to the game? That's what we kind of see. Like with the crossbow, clearly the special bolts are a thing. You know what I mean? They're not a gimmick. I mean, they kind of are, but like they're like
how
they're why
how
you
would
would
this
use the
affect
crossbow.
the dreadnought population?
Yeah.
Like out of these 3 initial special bolts, I don't really see how any of them could be useful against dreadnoughts particularly.
Well, with the third one, which we'll get to before talking about this, the electric ones, right? I don't know what they're called.
Taser, it's just called taser.
Taser. You would put, shoot into the floor. There's a radius, right? And if you shoot another one into the radius, it creates a turret arc beam, like an electric fence. Watson, if you play Apex, that and that's just
Sure.
there for. I don't remember how long. I think there is a time. Actually, even is there? I don't think there is.
Well, we should probably mention I know a lot of people will know, but we should mention the base mechanic of if a bolt hits the ground, you can pick it up. So missing isn't a problem, much like impact axes.
Yeah.
But with the taser bolts, they work the same way, except if you make them connect, and like you actually have the electric effect happen.
Yeah.
That would use it up.
I think
it won't
does
be
it?
achievable.
Can you see like the description? Because I think it might say that if you pick them up, you can like regain it. Like you can put it back down. They're rechargeable, basically.
No.
No?
If you actually use the electric,
Right.
if you use electricity, it will use the bolt. It says the electric surge renders the bolt unretrievable after use.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because it means it electrocutes you, because I'd still pick it up.
It probably would electrocute you, by the way. They are not afraid of electrocuting you, no matter what it is. If you, turret arc
Yeah,
users.
they love electrocuting you.
Whoa. But yeah,
Lovely.
so I think of them, I mean, pheromones probably won't be that useful because there's not really good other enemies to attack a dreadnought, except the little swarmers that it spawns itself. But with an explosion, it might help depending on what it really does. But yeah, the tasers are probably going to, if anything, be there because it will
they're
slow
the
it
most
down.
interesting straight away.
Yeah, I think they are definitely, I imagine, what a vast majority of people are going to be using as their first special arrow, right? Like that. Like, I mean, either that or the explosion one, because it's explosions, it's cool.
I'm going to be using the pheromone straight away.
That's because you're sad. But
No, it's because I'm cool.
Point is, Tier 1, they throw a bunch of special arrows at you because they are important to the crossbow. That's how you play it.
Yeah, and because I to me the point is you put the special arrows or a selection of special arrows in the first upgrade tier because they are meant to be a part of the weapon, but there's always meant to be an element of choice.
Yeah.
What would a default special arrow be? What does that even mean? You need the choice straight away, so they have to make it.
Yeah, does that mean if you don't pick one of those 3 or like any special arrow, are you just going to have no special arrow?
Yeah.
Fair enough. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to exclusively from now on never equip a special arrow or the crossbow.
What I did when the primaries came out last season, the first thing I do is I take them into a mission completely unupgraded.
Yeah.
And then I do, like, gradually, I apply a couple of upgrades.
You just try and replicate your first time with them if you were, like,
Yeah.
normal level and not
Because I can't
easily be able to afford everything immediately.
Yeah. And if I really went for it, right, if I really went for every week getting as many bank matrix cores and minimal containers as I can, I could probably almost, if not get every single overclock just through Forge Mastery.
Probably.
But I haven't been bothered to do that because that's ridiculous. I don't want to do that. I want to get them from machine events. I like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's cease that nonsense because we got to move on.
Tier 2.
Broadhead Bolts is the first slot, which just makes the standard bolts do more damage, it looks like.
So this tier 2 is for your special bolts, upgrading that, which is what I like, because obviously the special bolts are a thing. They're the main, but they also don't abandon normal bolts. You could probably quite easily run a normal bolt build on
that will be a
Crossbow.
thing.
Like,
yeah,
and
to me that would pair with the chemical explosive
probably
bolts.
yeah. The more assist versions of the special bolts would suit it. Yeah, but
Assist.
Broadhead. What does it do? Stun.
Well, there's
right?
not much to say. It just increases the damage of.
Right.
It needs to be pretty good because in the same tier we have increased quiver capacity and expanded special quiver, which both separately increase standard bolt ammo.
At this point, you would then you pick, right? It's like specialty build or normal bolt build.
Well, the interesting thing we've seen is that there are upgrades which physically change even what the standard bolts look like. We know the broadhead bolts look different, and we know that there's also the triple bolts, which obviously you see 3 bolts in the crossbow. So,
thing is,
based on that, I would say the broadhead bolts, it has to be quite a substantial increase in damage.
Even though it doesn't say it, I think the broadheaded bolts might add stun. Because if it's broad-headed, I'm pretty sure that means it's like a flat head, right? Or like it's going to be a blunt end, and that means it's a like an armor breaking, stunning kind of thing. And I feel like
it's not flat. It's actually the opposite.
What is it? Just wide?
Well, it's like a triangle, except it's a wider triangle.
Right.
It's meant to dig deeper into the enemies.
That's
what it says. It doesn't mention anything about stun.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to pick that over the more arrows.
I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone picks it at first over more special arrows.
I suppose, yeah, that too. Everyone's
what the
going
other
to be
two are.
having a field day on them.
Increased standard arrows or increased special arrows.
Yeah. So, yeah, tier 2 is pretty cool. Tier 3.
It's one of the more interesting tier 2s. Tier 2 tends to be it is simple, but
the middle.
It feels more specific to the crossbow.
Tier 2 and tier 4s tend to be leaning more towards like plus a couple bits of ammo.
Well, it's like general upgrades that you can put on anything.
Yeah.
This is still quite simple, but it feels more specific to the crossbow at the same time.
But tier 3.
Well, tier 3 is not particularly interesting.
Damn.
Then we have stabilized arm brace, which just increases reload speed.
That's pretty good. Increased fire rate, basically.
Hold on, it says allowing you to reload and switch ammo types faster.
Yeah, because I assume when you switch arrow, you're basically like reloading the gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, does that mean switching arrows is like a reload? So it would be based on
it would take
duration?
it would put a new arrow
to
in. Yeah, it means you put the arrows in quicker. That's basically it. You know what I mean?
Quicker.
So, I mean, honestly, that's basically fire rate. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and that to me is made more useful by the fact that it affects the switching aspect too.
Yeah, so I think that's an all-round good perk. Not perk, but yeah. What's the other one?
Reinforced string, projectile speed. A reinforced synthetic fiber string. It just increased projectile velocity.
Right. So if you want to be a sniper.
Yeah, I guess. But does that mean? Obviously, these are more projectiles than anything else. This isn't a hit scan weapon, obviously.
No.
You're not going to expect an arrow to shoot as fast as a bullet. So, I have to know how slow it feels normally to know whether this is worth using.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near plasma, but I think it's probably going to be like solid middle bit. You know what I mean? Like, just a gun.
Yeah, it's because to me, crossbows aren't meant to be. They don't. I don't know. It can't be that slow. I can't imagine the projectiles being that slow. So, which makes me imagine projectile speed. I find it hard to see how it can be that useful. I'm open to be proven wrong.
Yeah,
if it's like plus 200%,
especially considering
if it makes it hit scan, I can see the use.
Yeah, but
basically,
I mean, even
obviously.
then, the other one's pretty good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. That's like one of the. It's obviously one of the best reload-based upgrades.
Yeah. I mean, because you're going to be caught out, I imagine, a good bit with the crossbow. Then again, you're playing scout, so you're used to being caught out and you just get away. But, you know.
Well, speaking of being scout, tier 4 stocks with Battle Frenzy, which I think is literally... Is that the name of it on...
I think it is. I think it
the
is.
Assault Rifle. I think it's called that.
And it's on...
no, the Zhukov's, I think it's called something else. Or at least on the Zhukov's it works differently. It's based on reload. So yeah, Battle Frenzy. Move faster for a short time after killing an enemy. I beg your pardon.
Get out.
I feel like in those moments I'm meant to keep talking.
No, it's fine, but... For fuck's sake, I'll have to cut that now. Yeah. Just continue what you're doing.
Well, they're talking about Battle Frenzy.
Yeah, I
Tier
think...
4 slot 1. Move faster after killing an enemy. Or for a short time. Which is always fine. I think it works.
Yeah. It's basically a staple of Scout's stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's just what he does. He has Battle Frenzy. He just...
It's sort of for if you're running and gunning, you know, and you don't really have time to think about using your grappling hook. It's more useful than it seems, because you when I first found out about Battle Frenzy, which is a while ago, obviously, I thought, hold on, but you have a grappling hook. Why do you need this? But it's more useful than it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it is just like even though you got a grappling hook, you still kind of want to be quick as hell with Scout, right? This whole thing is speed, so if you just double down on that, you're never getting caught, basically.
You get very fast.
Like, you know, with Hazard 5, the Glyphids are nutty quick. Like, they're sprinting towards you with all their little legs. But with, like, Battle
Frenzy... Yeah, and if you're in a situation when you're backing up...
Yeah.
It's good. You're moving backwards faster, too,
yeah.
so you can actually probably get away from
You can. You're quicker than them. Or at least quick enough so they can't catch you, basically. Which is nice.
Battle Frenzy is always... good, but I feel like more often than not it is overshadowed by its counterparts.
Which I think is the case.
Which is Radio Transmitter Module, which basically lets you call back bolts from a distance. Ones that are in the terrain. Bolts that are retrievable, you can retrieve them from a distance.
I feel like the distance may not be infinite, I don't think.
I don't think it will be.
I think it's more like salvage operation radius, you know, that kind of circle-ish, I guess, around you.
I don't know, because to me, I feel like it's useful for... I don't know. I guess it's for useful people who can't aim.
That's me. I'm that.
It's cool, but I'm uncertain how useful it is.
Well, I think it just depends. If you notice too many times that your arrows are ending up in places you can't get to them, you know what I mean? Then you're going to want this. Yeah, like, I mean, in your scouts, you should always be able to get to them. But, like, you know, sometimes you'll have to keep taking damage by getting crossbow bolts that are, like, halfway up a wall.
What if you're trying to shoot Macteras, you miss, and now it's, like, on the other side of the cave? I feel like it would make more sense to me, and it wouldn't be unbalanced if the range was infinite.
Be infinite, yeah. But it should take time to come back, at least. So you have to kind of wait.
Oh, yeah. It won't be instant.
Yeah.
I think the range should be infinite, but we don't know. This is another upgrade that sort of needs to prove itself, I think. Which it seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah. But I think moving on to Tier 5.
Tier 5. Now, am I missing something here, or we don't have actually details on the other two out of 3 of these upgrades?
You have to click more. There's a thing plus.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. I see. Okay, let's start then. Tier 5 slot 1, potent special bolts. So it says a more potent version of your special bolt that increases its duration. Now, it says like the upgrade category is duration.
Yeah.
So I think that's what this. I think by potency it does just mean duration. I don't think it actually amplifies the physical effects of your.
Yeah, no, it is just makes them last longer, which begs 2 of them that makes sense. Pheromones last longer. The electricity, they last longer. Does that mean if you don't kill an enemy within a certain amount
I
of
think
time?
that's what's being implied here.
I think because I assume that means that now they'll have like an effect, that shows that they're like if you kill them now they'll explode and it might fade, which is reasonable. It's reasonable. So yeah, I mean, pretty good. That is going to probably come quite in handy, especially if you want to use pheromones for that kind of stuff, or the electric stuff.
It's standard stuff, but it's going to be useful.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about... Yeah, I remember reading about this one. Right. Tier 5 slot 2, magnetic shafts. Right.
Yeah.
So, I think I should just read it, actually. That makes more sense. Bolt shafts made of magnetic material that is attracted by electricity, pulling them towards electrified enemies or enemies affected by an electrical field. The magnetic pull causes them to deal more damage on impact. So this is meant to basically pair standard bolts with electric bolts, to me.
Yeah. And also
or
just
actually,
other...
This would work with...
I mean, Scouts always had a bit of a IFG or electricity kind of tie-in.
Yeah, so basically, we don't know how strong this effect is. I assume, right, if it's within the right range, the bolt's always going to hit an electrified enemy, but you can't just shoot it off in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But to me, the more damage part is actually more interesting to me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. I think it's definitely going to be handy to...
Because I foresee this playing more into a direct or a standard bolt build, where you would increase the damage of your standard bolts or the ammo capacity, and then you would use like electric reload and IFGs. You would use electric reload on the assault rifle, and then IFGs as well. To me, it's more so that, actually, I think. Because I can imagine... Well, actually, no, in an IFG, I feel like the bolts might get confused. I don't know. I want to see how this one works precisely. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory, but we don't know the intricacies of it, really.
Yeah.
We don't know how prioritization works. Or if it will prioritize.
Yeah, you're like trying to shoot a Praetorian in front of you, but there's like a grunt that a stubby just electrocuted and it just turns away from the Praetorian.
Yeah.
You're like, no! And
yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how potent the homing effects are.
Yeah. And I mean, they're not against like hard homing, are they? Obviously, with the hurricane.
Well, I guess not.
No. It's really anyone's guess.
So I can't... This sounds good. I just wonder how easy it will be to use in a group of enemies. That's the only thing I wonder about.
Yeah. And the final one?
Banshee Module. Now, I forgot about this one as well, because this is actually quite interesting.
This is the one I got it mixed up with. The whole pick it up and it regens.
Yeah. Tiny devices are attached to your bolts that emit fear-reducing high-pitched noise for a limited time. Can be reset and reused if picked up. So, fear upgrades... I think fear is a good status effect, but it's slightly underutilized, I think.
It's not even a status effect, is it? I mean, it is,
it
obviously,
technically
but
is.
There's no like effect, which I think I would like to see, like a really like a shocked face appears on like their
no, it's like a megaphone.
I suppose
in the minus manual, you have the list of damage types, and Fear's icon is a megaphone. Well, that's what it is there.
Yeah.
For the actual upgrade. So this to me feels basically like the pinnacle, the best use of fear that we've seen. Like already I can tell, because you can induce fear, but the bolts will be reusable.
Yeah, so you basically have infinite fear if you play it right.
I have infinite fear.
Yeah.
All the time.
At night it does get
very
rough.
Scared.
I don't mean that in that way. I mean that I'm terrified of the dark.
Oh. Well, why'd you play Deep Rock then? You muppet.
I have flares. Well, they're not really good. I don't play Scout. Point is... Yeah.
Well, we need to move on though. So that's probably the best fear upgrade that there is. And that's what we can say. because we got to move on.
I would like to mention just one thing. That would not work. Actually, never mind. Is that just all bolts?
Don't know.
Because if it's all bolts, then it won't work particularly well with the electric one. Because it would cancel it, one of the best parts about it. So
yeah. Well, that's where playing with the weapon will come into it.
Yeah.
Something we would report on at a later time. So, in terms of information on overclocks, we actually have 2. One here, and I managed to catch one, the name of one, from the trailer.
Did you not even get like the icon?
Yeah, I got the icon.
Alright. They help.
So yeah, we got a clean overclock here, the specialist, more special bolts, and increased special bolt effect duration, that seems quite good.
Yeah, so that's now like 2 duration buffs. So you could have pheromones and or the electric taser thing, special ones, for a while.
This is a really good clean overclock, because this lets you go overboard with the special bolts, or do the opposite, and not have to worry as much, and spec in other places. So you could take more special bolts and more standard bolts at the same time with this.
It is a very...
Or you could just go hard on special bolts, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is a layer of complexity you don't normally see in clean overclocks. Well, it's not direct complexity, it's just what you can do. But then again, it is a clean overclock, so it's not exactly... There's not much to say about it, really.
It's no world-sharing stuff.
It covers ground that the mods do, which is what you expect.
Yeah.
What doesn't cover ground that the mods do is this one unstable overclock that we know about. Or we don't know about it, but it's kind of easy to guess what's going on here. Trifork volley. Which is an unstable overclock, which obviously refers to the triple bolts.
Yeah, they did show that in the trailer, so...
Yeah. Which, as far as we know, or what it looked like, is that it affects the standard bolts.
Yeah, it makes you have 3 of those. And being unstable... It probably means that you're gonna have no bolts. Like you're gonna have
no. I reckon what
shots.
it will actually do is going to knock off most of your special bolts.
That may be too as well. Yeah.
Well, I'd rather it did. I mean, that seems slightly counterintuitive.
Well, think about it. I guess but like. If it thirds your ammo, you get 3 times the bolts. I think it's more that you're then doing all that damage in one.
So it might be better. It'd be better if it splits your standard ammo in half, but leaves your special ammo untouched. I think I prefer that. Actually,
I feel like I don't know. It might touch your special ammo a bit, but I don't think it should. That should be the negative for it, really. Otherwise, I think that would be a bit strong.
And reload speed, obviously. I can't really see how this wouldn't. This has got to slow down your reload speed, right? That's got to be a major.
Well, you could probably tell because we saw him reload it in the trailer.
Well, obviously we don't have any details on his overclock, but what we can guess is that the negatives would either be a penalty to your standard ammo, or a penalty to your special ammo,
or special
and
damage,
a reload penalty,
or just that kind of stuff. It being unstable means that it's going to come at a cost, which is the least anything you could say about it. But yeah, did we not get like more? Like, didn't they scroll through like all the overclocks on the thing?
Yeah, but so in the part of the trailer where it was scrolling through the overclocks, it started with that on screen. That was right at the top,
right? And
it went down from there.
So are the other ones like too blurry or something?
No, you just don't see them.
No?
No.
Not even if you like freeze framed it?
No.
Oh.
They aren't on screen at all. But we should probably stop talking about the crossbow.
Yeah, we might have to pick up the pace a bit here.
Well, speaking of picking up the pace... Yep. The Colette Wave Cooker is next. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is odd, because apparently it's classified as a submachine gun.
Well, I don't know what else you'd classify it as. I mean, gun is putting it, leniently.
Microwave.
Yeah. A war crime.
Well, War crime, yeah, it's good, it's good.
Or
Yeah.
if you added a war crime category, a lot of things would come under it.
So I refer to this basically as the Swiss Army knife of weapons, but that view will become substantiated as we go through these upgrades. So we'll start with the base model. Does damage 6, but rate of fire 7.
Numbers that mean little.
Shot width 80, which is slightly confusing. It must be 80 centimeters.
I mean,
otherwise, that doesn't make sense.
we kind of seen it. It is like about a grunt size of radius effect particle.
Yeah.
Like but stuff.
You what?
It's very hot in here.
Yeah, it also says magazine size 300. Now, it doesn't say ammo capacity, it just says magazine size.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense. It should just say ammo capacity because the minigun doesn't have magazine. Or it's just one magazine. So it's just its ammo capacity is what's listed, but here it's magazine size. Whatever.
Yeah.
And we also have heat generation and cooling rate listed here. Now, did you initially interpret heat generation referring to actually applying heat? That's not what that is.
No, it's just
To clear that up. That's
time in which it takes to overheat, right?
Yeah, overheat, because it works on the overheat mechanic. Overheat duration 2. That's quite a short overheat. The overheat is 2 seconds long. That's quite short.
I think it's because it's
not punishing.
Too quick. It overheats you're kind of supposed to overheat it.
Well,
it seems.
I don't think that's... I don't think that's true because the shard diffractor overheats automatically. That's why. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, let's get down to business. Oh, we also know that it is a hit scan weapon with infinite range.
Yeah, they described it as a flashlight, right? Where you are looking, no matter how close or far it is away, like whatever blocks your sight of the middle of your screen is where it affects. That's where it's like boop 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 boop. That's where it's chewing ass, taking names, and giving cancer.
Right, tier 1. Convex lens, plus 2 damage. Magnetron tube, plus 100 ammo. And concave lens, plus 100 shot width.
Yeah, all relatively normal upgrades.
Now, yeah, but I do find shot width slightly confusing, because when I look at footage of this gun, I see the area comes out of the point of contact. The point of impact. So what does increasing the shot width actually do?
Well, that just increases the area of the contact, I guess. So your flashlight is getting a wider beam. It's hitting more. But yeah, I mean, you'll change if there's just too little ammo for you. You'll get the ammo if it does not do enough damage.
Plus 100 ammo. It seems quite generous.
Yeah, I mean,
but we don't know how generous it actually is. We don't know how quick it uses ammo. I feel like faster than maybe you'd like. I don't think this is meant to be a weapon. Obviously, it's a secondary. Or it's a driller secondary. You're not meant to use it.
It feels
all the time.
It feels bursty. It feels like you want to be using it in short, quick doses and then switching out. Really, like, haha, you are dying, and then you finish him off with nothing. There's nothing you can finish him off with. There's no primary weapon.
Yeah. So tier 1 in this case, fairly basic stuff. It's just, do you want to do more damage? Do you want more ammo? I'm still confused as to what the actual point of increasing shot width is, but
it's just more area. More area of effect. That's basically what it is.
Tier 2. So we have, let's start with both heatsink and thermoelectric coupler at the same time. So heatsink is minus 20% heat generation, but then thermoelectric coupler plus 38% cooling rate and minus 0.5 seconds overheat duration. So
one takes it longer to overheat, but when you do overheat, it's worse, or is it?
No, it doesn't make the overheat worse.
So it just takes longer to overheat, but the other one means when you do overheat, it's not as bad.
Well, no, it also means that it will cool down quicker, not just from an overheat.
Right. Yeah.
So you can shoot more bursts within a short period of time. The first one, which decreases heat generation, you're able to shoot for longer.
Yeah, but
And the
it's
second one just makes overheat less punishing. But I don't know. This is just a choice thing, really. This is just preference.
It's, do you like holding things down, or do you like bursting it? I guess.
I beg your pardon.
You heard me.
And the third mod in this tier is larger power supply, which is just +1 rate of fire. Which I probably wouldn't pick.
Well, the thing is, it's a bit like when you have your body gear equipment, right? Where you can pick either like 5 shield or like 20 health. But it like, or not even that, but like, I don't know. You have a choice, but then you have a choice to not choose and just like deal with it. But you also get an additional buff, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's also honestly so far, and I know it gets spicier, but it's a very default upgrade lot, really. Like,
Yeah, but rate of fire is generally, I find, to be quite an underrated upgrade, because that will make this thing a much more of a DPS.
it's not actually that common of an upgrade either, really, is it?
No.
Not many guns get a fire rate increase.
No, I think they all do, actually.
That's a lie. I am ignoring it. Moving on.
No, I'm pretty sure they all do. Except the M1000.
That was the one I thought did have it.
Totally. The M1000, it fires as fast as you can pull the trigger.
So does the Sublata.
Alright, tier 3. Things get a little bit more interesting here. Densification Ray, which basically just slows things down.
Not bad. Never bad. Slow things down.
Yeah,
Never bad.
probably quite useful against Dreadnoughts.
Probably. I could definitely do with the default Dreadnought staying the fuck back, because
I wonder if this could slow down a patrol bot. I better be able to.
Probably.
What's the point of this thing?
Next one.
This is where things. Now this is where things get interesting. I mean it this time.
From now on.
Temperature amplifier. So it's still slightly unclear what this does. So the information we have here suggests that it applies more heat to targets above base temperature and applies more cold to targets below base temperature.
Does it?
Um,
Now I know that. Oh, wait, okay. Am I thinking of a different upgrade? I think I am.
I'm not sure you are.
What does it say it does? Like word for word.
No, we don't. This guy doesn't have the actual picture. I don't know, because you said.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't know how he got.
You don't know how he. Yeah. You don't know how he got the information.
As far as I recall, it was if they are hot, like if they're on fire, shooting them with it will make the heat radius of that thing bigger.
Yeah.
But if they are frozen, then it will temperature shock them. But at no point in time does it actually apply the fire effect. It doesn't do that, but it will temperature shock and it will increase the heat of the enemy.
Yeah. I swear they showed this in detail on stream. They hovered over it.
I think they did.
Whatever. All we know is it's quite a complex mod that has different effects. It can be used well with the flamethrower or the Cryo Cannon.
Yeah, Cryo Cannon can go sod itself.
Well, no, it actually.
No,
it doesn't have to.
It works. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Which was important to me. That's what I would have done. I would have prioritised pairing it with the sludge pump over those two. But you can do both, which isn't really necessary, obviously. But you can. So that's quite a complex one, but.
All I know is if it does a temperature shock, I'm picking this for my main build. That's all I'm saying. Like this will get put over the EPC. But yeah.
Well, the slowdown one would work well with sticky flames.
Yeah, or the goo.
And the goo, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting them even slower.
Right. Tier 4. Wait, what? Huh?
What's that? Is it the now special one?
Power supply overdrive. Yeah, this is weird. Tier 4 mods. We've got wide lens add-on and power supply overdrive. Right, okay, so the wide lens one. So both of these add alternate fire
Oh,
modes.
right, it's these ones. Yeah, no, these ones are cool.
I didn't think they both did that. So yeah, wide lens add-on, you push reload, but for both of them you push reload to change to alternate fire mode. So for wide lens add-on, it just gives it a much wider area effect, but it generates more heat per shot. So that's just... And the fact that it can switch, well, the fact that it's an alternate firing mode is very important, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, this is what your gun does now.
Yeah.
You have the choice here. And then power supply overdrive, it makes it much, like a much narrower beam with faster fire rate. So very accurate, high DPS.
Yeah. Which I think... I think that definitely... I think it's probably the most interesting thing they've really done with the guns is those two upgrades. Because they're like... Just casually, that is like unstable overclocks.
They are like unstable overclocks, aren't they?
Yeah, just there, and you pick between them, and it's you know.
I'd say a lot of these upgrades are.
Yeah, I think the Colette Wave Cooker is probably one of the most funkiest of guns they've added of these new ones.
Yeah, it's the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, but honestly, both of them have pros and cons. You know what I mean? Like if there's a horde of them, having the big ass range or tunnel radius will be handy. You know what I mean? Like, just cover a horde and all that stuff. Or you can get the single focus fire if you want to try and use that against a dreadnought. That's really what you want to use.
Yeah. Yes.
And it is worth noting that the second one doesn't actually have a negative.
Well, the negative is you'll be using more ammo quicker.
I suppose. Because, it doesn't actually increase the damage. Nothing increases the damage.
Increases DPS or increases area of effect.
Yeah.
Both indirectly increase damage.
I think...
in my opinion.
Yeah, but it never actually does, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
You're doing the exact same damage per tick. Just one thing, you're ticking more things, and the other one, you're ticking more times.
Imagine if it was just one upgrade where it's like, these are the two firing modes you have.
That would be pretty sick, but also quite limiting. But yeah, no, this is cool.
Well, actually, it'd be a bit too much. All right, so we can move on to tier 5.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, probably. This probably has the chance to be one of my favourite upgrades. Although I'm still slightly uncertain how it works. Contagion transmitter. So I have the exact description here, though. A transmitter that enables rays to destroy poisoned and corroded cells in hit targets, increasing damage output with a chance to spread a poisonous vapour to nearby enemies. So, I have trouble figuring out what exactly this means. What we know that it does, it makes it do more damage against enemies that are either corroded, which is sludge pump, or have neurotoxin on them. So it works well with the sludge pump and the neurotoxin grenade. And if it stacks, we don't know if it stacks, but if it does, that's a build right there.
Yeah.
But then it has this other thing, a chance to spread a poisonous vapour to nearby enemies, which is neurotoxin, because it's classified as a neurotoxin upgrade.
Yeah.
That's the category it's put in. So to me, what that is, it's that it can just inflict neurotoxin.
Maybe, but even not, there's still a chance that you could chain. Basically, you throw a neurotoxin grenade, everything becomes neurotoxin. You kill them with that, they deposit neurotoxin, and as long as you're constantly killing and your chances are good enough, I'm not sure how good they are, you will consistently have a cloud of neurotoxin in that area, or poison or whatever the effect is. So
it's like half and half. Half of this upgrade is easy to understand, the other half isn't.
Yeah, I think either way, it is actually a goo neurotoxin build, which I think Drillin needs. I think the only secondary that really works with anything is EPC with Cryo Cannon. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. So it's good.
Okay, I've just noticed what one of these is, and we're going to have to really double back and correct ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is Boiler Ray.
Is this the
Targets
one
have a
that I
chance
missed?
to explode on. No,
Alright.
no. Boiler Ray. Targets have a chance to explode on death. So it's quite simple.
Yeah.
You know. What can we say?
Pop.
It's actually just not saying anything. We really can't really go into detail about this at all. It's not. Yeah. Pop.
Pop.
Next. Radiant Superheater causes burning targets to radiate heat further and temperature shocking frozen. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this guy's probably right about that one in tier 3.
Yeah.
Temperature amplifier, where it applies cold or heat depending on which one's already been inflicted.
Which is pretty good in of itself, because if I'm trying to freeze a dreadnought and my cryo cannon runs out of pressure, switch to that, finish him off. Get him frozen.
A good point is raised here in this document, where it's unclear how it will work with temperature amplifier.
Yeah, because if I just explained what I did there, I mean, would that mean the second it freezes, it would just set him alight and instantly temperature shock him? It probably would, right? Because I think the temperature amplifier is just if they're getting hot, they get hotter. If they're getting cold, they get colder. With this, if they're already hot, it kicks in, and if they're already cold, it kicks in. So they should just work together seamlessly, right? Although it would mean that you would have to be very accurate if you wanted to finish off freezing and keep him frozen. It's very good for temperature shocking if you were to use those two together.
This is going to be more. This is more attractive to me for the Cryo Cannon, just this gun in general.
Yeah, it's because it's very attractive. It is. Honestly, it is good. It seems with all of them. It is made to complement the other weapons.
Yeah, and I am sort of focused on though how much will this do for the flamethrower?
Well,
hopefully a lot, because to me it seems like it's better for the Cryo Cannon out of those two.
It helps the Cryo Cannon finish, as mentioned, freezing off fat ass targets, and it helps Cryo Cannon temperature shock. But it seems like it will help the flamethrower in setting things alight and slowing enemies down, which could also be applied to the goo and the caustic thing. It does seem like it helps all of them fairly equally, to be honest with you. It's just, as we mentioned, we have a heavy bias towards the Cryo Cannon being the more preferable thing to help, and quite temperature shock being better than having an increased heat radius. But it does legitimately seem that it caters to all of the primary weapons you want, which just what are you supposed to do with? I mean, EPC probably I would still use it fine, right? EPC does have quite cool uses like the mining thing, which has been nerfed, but it's still a thing. And the temperature shock heavy hitter, it does quite a bit of damage, right? Still, but a heavy hitter is quite strong. But the Sabata, man. Why would you use it anymore?
I did say, who can be boring enough to use the Sabata after this thing comes out?
Not only is it boring, but it's also just sucky. You know what I mean? It's going to be just terrible. It's just a bad idea to pick it over this now. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, much...
overclocks.
Much to our dismay, we have all the overclocks here.
Honestly, we're doing the overclocks and we're ending it here. We'll do the next two next time, or a different time, because...
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good
idea. So yeah, collect overclocks.
Right.
Let's do with clean ones.
Okay, I know what I can do
blast
here.
away clean.
I know what I can do here. Well, no, because I have which one's which. It doesn't actually say here if it's balanced or unstable,
Right.
but I can tell you. Diffusion Ray is balanced, and it says +2 enemy penetration. Oh, okay, we'll ignore that.
Yeah, so this was one they mentioned in stream. They as I mentioned, the whole flashlight thing. Like, the first thing it hits is where the particle does the effect, and then it said except the overclock. This implies... Well, we don't actually know how it works, because it either applies the status effect on each thing it penetrates through.
That's a good point.
Or it only applies it the one time to enemies in, right? And as bad as that second one kind of sounds, it also would be not that bad, because
No.
it would have it be doing it in the middle of a bunch of enemies, so it would still be reasonable. But if it's the other one, then that's a lot more
Yeah,
damage.
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but it's a very simple sounding one that has
And of course,
heavy
-1
implications.
damage output.
Yeah, but I think if it does do this, like the one thing where it does it, like applies it basically 3 times, then it doesn't
Well, obviously
matter.
it's made up for. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously that's like I'd say that's actually too small of a penalty.
Yeah, it
away.
might be broken, but only if there's a horde. But there normally is a horde, so you know, especially if you have a goo, then you'll be able to line them up. But yeah, that one easy, simple, not easy, but cool. Moving on.
Right, Mega Power Supply, another balanced one. This is sort of the ammo one. +3 rate of fire and plus 150 ammo. Minus 50% cooling rate and plus 1 second overheat recovery. So this is a weird one to me because this gives you a lot more ammo, but you're going to be overheating much faster.
Which is inherently a bad thing.
Because not much faster. You overheat faster because of the rate of fire increase.
Yeah.
But it more so makes the overheat itself much more punishing.
Right. So that would have to be paired with one of the things. You'd either need to like try and resist the overheat with the extra time before overheating,
Yeah.
or just accept that it's going to be kind of rough, but reduce how rough it is.
It's so weird. There's so much going on here. I don't know how to...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm so hyped for the. I mean, I was kind of saddened by the look of the gun, but as far as like hearing the upgrades and the overclocks, I'm just looking forward to using this thing so much.
Yeah. And this is a weird overclock, right? Because I don't think there's any other overclock that increases rate of fire and ammo. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one for the burst pistol, but this is much more so because you're burning through ammo much quicker and you have a lot more of it, which is just a cool idea to me. It's not crazy, but it's just really cool to me.
And it's like overheating doesn't negatively affect the weapon either. And did it even decrease damage?
No.
So
No.
So as long as you can keep a hold of overheating, or just make sure that overheating isn't that bad of a thing, this is just a net positive, right?
Well,
as long as you're not
to 550 ammo.
as long as you're not incompetent,
well.
this is probably the best. I mean, obviously it's not inherently, but like that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, move on.
Right. We got our unstable ones next. Blistering Necrosis. Here we go.
Yeah.
Right. Chance to spawn weak points on hit enemies. Plus 20% heat generation and minus 25% cooling rate. Very strange. Very odd. So it's sort of... the idea is that it creates like bolt detonator type blisters on enemies that act as weak points.
Yeah. Which I think they are just like normal weak points, aren't they? They're like 1.5 or 2.5 times
It's
damage.
2 times damage.
Well,
multiplier.
2 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they pop, it does damage as well.
Yeah. That's I'd say that's what. If that wasn't a thing, I wouldn't be sure how good this actually is.
It would be because depending on where they can spawn, you know, if you could get a weak point in the front of an oppressor, that would be pretty nice. Yeah.
I think what I said when we talked about this originally is that it is really good in somewhat specific circumstances.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really good if you're playing Driller or a team and aren't using the Cryo Cannon, which isn't that ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you are using the Cryo Cannon, what's the point of this? And how useful is this for Driller anyway on your own?
Yeah.
Not very.
I mean, because it's only kinetic as well. And you can only pull off kinetic with an axe or like your pickaxe / drills.
Or Ice Spear.
Yeah, Ice Spear. Yeah. So it's kind of difficult to actually make use of the bubble you've just created. And if you use cryo, it's better. Their entire body is a weak point, and it's
I
3
see this
times.
being really good if you're in a team and you're using the sludge pump, because obviously the gun itself pairs well with the sludge pump.
Yeah.
And then you're using this upgrade would be very helpful.
Or flamethrower, you know, same thing. Basically, if you don't want to play cryo because you're an evil man, but you started feeling guilty about it, and you want to help the team like properly, you can use the collect and give them tumors. So, and it's still worse in every way than Cryo, but at least you're doing something. Good on you.
Right, let's wrap this up soon.
Yes.
Right. Well, the other unstable overclock, gamma contamination, chance to irradiate enemies.
Radiation.
Minus 50 ammo, minus 1 damage, and minus 50 shot width.
A gun with radiation. I've been begging for this.
Yeah. So this is kind of what we thought the gun would be anyway.
Yeah.
When we first saw the wave cooker, we thought this is just a radiation gun, but it's not. But it can do radiation.
It really does seem like inherently it doesn't do anything. I mean, obviously damage, but like it doesn't apply any status effect. It doesn't do anything like that. But you can basically slap on everything.
Well, except not.
Well, didn't that the blistering necrosis, didn't that also make it do heat damage, right? Did that mention? No. Oh, is it just add heat?
Yeah, heat. So you
Right.
build up heat more.
Okay.
Like you overheat quicker. But with the radiation thing, we don't know what the chances are of causing the radiation.
I mean, with how quickly the fire rate is,
it doesn't need to be high.
If it's just like 25%, you're basically going to get it down. It's going to happen.
But we don't know how the radiation works in this case.
Yeah.
It says a chance to irradiate enemies.
Oh,
because the only example we have of how radiation works is, Fat Boy, which just creates an area, a fallout area. And this implies that that's not what's happening.
Yeah. Ignore him, Harry. What's the final one, Harry?
Oh, there's two. We have both. We have both clean overclocks.
All right.
So super focus lens, more damage at close range. So obviously it's a clean overclock, so it can't be that big of an increase.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. I like that. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's good.
Clean overclock. Job done.
And liquid cooling system, which is just something faster cooling rate
for the people that struggle with the overheating.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah. But honestly, as cool as some of the overclocks are, I think the upgrades of the color is actually probably the coolest thing about it. Like, I think
almost more so. I'd say so. Yeah.
I mean, they got some pretty good ones, admittedly, with the radiation and necrosis, tumorous stuff. But yeah, I think.
Well, and the balanced ones seem good anyway.
Yeah, and I mentioned that balanced one with the overheat penalty probably seems to be one of the brokenest things. Like, that's just gonna
most broken.
As long as you can handle the overheating, it makes the gun so much better. It's not even fair.
I just hope this lives up to what it looks like, because if it does, this has such a high chance of being my favorite weapon.
And it doesn't even sound broken inherently, because damage wise, it doesn't seem that amazing. You know what I mean? Obviously it probably is fine. But that's not at all what makes it look impressive.
Well, yeah, to me, it is like a Swiss Army knife, though, in that it can get through smaller enemies quite easily. But if you want to, the big targets, that's gonna come.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of single target damage is gonna come from status effects.
Yeah, it's going to be working in coordination with your grenades and your primaries, which I think, as much as I kind of despise some of Driller's leaning towards what they do with him, he does that the most, I think. Or you have to kind of use your entire kit to actually kill something, which isn't inherently a good thing.
That's the only similarity between him and Engineer.
Yeah, with the Engineer, you just pull out a breach caster and job done. But we'll talk about this another time, because this is the end. We were going to do all four, but then the crossbow took half an hour, the collect took half an hour, and we're aiming for an hour. So, yeah. Well, the next time the podcast is released, the game will be out. So I guess if we do the railgun and the
Shard diffractor,
we'll at least have more reliable information.
Yeah, we'll probably have a similar amount of details.
Yeah,
we will do,
we'll
because
actually
the experimental branch
know about them. So if anything, it's worked out quite well. But this, this was Barrel Vision podcast.
This was the Barrel Vision podcast.
Signing out. It's like the most stereotypical thing. Signing out. Have a good one. We'll be doing a video on the patch notes and our punishments for getting our bets wrong next week, and then we'll be back the week after with a
Rock and stone miners, fuck off.
yeah.
Should I stop recording?